This is the final video in the series on the Creasee CS30. I wanted to take a few minutes to talk about the print quality and then my final thoughts. So, after getting it set up and tuning it to the best of my ability, this is something I printed off the SD card. It is one of the bunnies. Again, this is older filament, but it was relatively dry. Came out well, a little bit of stringing between the ears, but that's fine. I did not really have problem, but let me try to show it at an angle and show you the surface finish. Good to the touch. I am not complaining about it, but let me show it to you from different angles so you can then eventually relate what you see here with what you see in other objects. This is the very first thing I did. After doing that, something I always do is an XYZ calibration cube. I did not really measure this, but again, this gives me a good idea on how this performs. Again, I was pretty pleased. Again, keep in mind this is just the very second print this machine has put out. Top finish fine. I do not see any blobs or anything as such. No, nothing to complain about. Let me see if I can hold it at light. I was pretty pleased because I did not really see any ghosting. But let me see. Yeah, I did not see any ghosting. If I think that's the term for any of the carryover marks. This is one of the best calibration cubes I've ever printed. So this was good. I then moved on to a benchy. Again, very relatable image. Overall, this is fine. The circles came through fine. The stack printed fine. The overhangs printed fine. But here's the issue. Let me see if you can see it. You see this hole here, so you can see this ringing here, ringing, pretty deep ringing all the way across, and this is because if you saw in the earlier video, this was, I think, the X carriage. The belt was loose and there was no way of tightening it. It's a design flaw. It doesn't give you anything to tighten it, nor can you, because it's actually crimped versus zip tied. I could probably jerry rig something up, but I don't want to do that on a printer I just bought. Apart from the ringing, I see there are minor artifacts, but I think that's more to do with the slicer than this print itself. Again, just to make sure, to compare apples to apples, I do have a Sunlu S8, and keep in mind this Sunlu I printed on is bone stock. Nothing has been done. It's out of the box, apart from making sure the belts are tight, the bed is stable. I have done nothing to it. This is the same benchy. In fact, this is the same file and same filament. I took the memory card out of the Creasee and put it in the Sunlu S8 because I wanted to make sure I do the exact same thing. This is what I got. Again, quality wise, I would say very similar. I can't find any difference, but you'll see there's no ringing out here. If you notice, unlike what we saw on the Creasee, let me pop it back for a moment. This is the Creasee. You can see the ringing right here, right here. You don't have the ringing on the Sunlu. So that is the major difference. But otherwise, in terms of print quality, overhang, everything is the same. And keep in mind, again, the Sunlu is bone stock. I think the Creasee does slightly better on overhangs, but apart from that, I think the Sunlu is better. See, again, you have this ringing right here. You see this ring line here, whereas it's not there in the Sunlu. Then I again printed out these Christmas cards. Again, it's the same file again. Everything's exactly the same. This one here is printed on the Creasee, and this one here is on the Sunlu. And again, for whatever reason, let me show this to you. And again, I'm just comparing pieces. They're pretty similar, but when I look at both of them simultaneously, the Sunlu is better. This is the base of the Sunlu. You can see how wonderfully the first layer is. It's shining. And this is on the Creasee. Again, same file, same filament, same temperatures, no difference. Again, nothing that cannot be fixed. But you know, the Sunlu, not the Sunlu, sorry, the Creasee is actually there in the box behind my dog, ready to be shipped back. And what was the deal breaker to me is the way the hot end is set up. The tube goes all the way to the nozzle, and any long print, the filament, the back pressure actually pushes the tube up, and then you have this happen. Let me show you. This happen, and you lose. So what happens is extrusion stops. Your extruder actually starts grinding into the filament, and your filament breaks. Your filament sensor cannot detect that it's broken, so you have a failed print. I had 2 large failed prints. The first time I thought it was the filament in me, so I actually tossed that entire bundle away. So see this, this is a card I was printing, and it printed halfway because I had covered the entire bed. So I actually tried it twice. So I did lose almost 10 hours of printing time, apart from filament and power. That's something unacceptable altogether. Can I fix it? Yes. I can either replace the hot end or take the hot end apart and do a modification. But again, I should not be doing that. Comparable printers at similar price ranges work fine. So why does this one not? An even bigger problem which caused me to return it is the firmware. Now it has baby stepping. You may have seen the last video, but it doesn't stick. I start the print, I set the baby steps, it works. I print again, it may remember the baby steps, it may not. It changes it, and sometimes I have the nozzle grinding into the bed for no reason at all. Again, that's something unacceptable. Apart from that, the machine after finishing printing doesn't turn off. The machine hangs in a loop. Again, a total deal breaker for me. So it's packed up. It's going back to Amazon. I'm happy I had a chance to play with it. It has a lot of potential. The hardware is good. It's built well. The board is good. When it wants to print, like you saw, it prints really well. Again, if they fix issues with the belt, they fix issues with the firmware, I think it'll be a really great printer for, I think, the $230 odd published price. So that's where you have it. That's my final take. It is going back. I am going to stick with the 2 Sunlu S8s I have. I'm pretty pleased with them. I do have a few more printers, but I will keep a lookout. If I see something similar with silent boards come up around the similar price range, I would probably pick one up, put it through its pace, and report back. One bonus thing for you all, because we're talking about benchies, I decided to use one of my so-called professional printers. This is the QD X Plus, and print the same benchy. Of course, the file is different because that's I think what you'll call an H-pot versus a pure XYZ Cartesian. Filaments the same, temperature is different because that's a direct drive extruder versus a Bowden. This is what I got. You see stringing, and that's because I have my retractions not set properly. Also, the overhangs are not as great as other printers, and the reason is I had an older fan duct there. Sunlu is since not Sunlu, sorry. QD has sent me a new shroud that should fix the issues with overhangs, if any. But yeah, I just want to take a moment to show you the difference. So I don't know if it is visible, but this does have a slightly better overall. If you see the finish, it's extremely smooth. It's very, very fine. Whereas this you can make out you do have slight vibration patterns here. Again, it's the same as STL. The G code's different, but this is the, let me see. This is the Sunlu. You can see some vibration patterns there. This is the Creasee. You see there, you can see all the ringing out there. And this is what typically retails for what, $600 odd, the QDX Plus. You do have artifacts. I won't say you don't, but if you look at the finish, it's extremely good. I mean, currently with the X Plus and the Sunlu, I know I can give a print walk away. I don't need to look back once. It will print flawlessly. Both of them have maybe 50 to 100 hours, but I could not really get more than, let's say, these two prints successfully from the Creasee. Everything else failed, and I was spending way too much time watching and keeping an eye on it. So that's all from me. That's where you have it. Look forward to my next couple of videos. I will tell you what, at least to me, are recommended no cost or low cost upgrades to any printer you may get, and I'll be focusing on people who are just getting into 3D printing. Someone wants to spend maybe up to $300 on a printer. You want to keep the cost low, and what upgrades can you do it that will really help us with the minimum extra investment of money and our time. So see you guys the next time. Have a good evening and a Merry Christmas if we don't speak again.